if I really need an answer or I really need something like to figure out or a feeling, I did this for picking college. I do it for how to make a business decision, a lot of personal decisions. Before I go to bed, I basically like say a prayer and I lay it out and I go, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to know the answer. And like right when you wake up, for some reason, at least for me, like it's always worked where it's like, I guess because your mind's more calm or whatever, it's always like, oh, I know right away. Boom, just go do it, take it.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Masters of the Game. And today I get to introduce you to someone that I've been following for a while, watching posts, and been studying his background a little bit. And he's up to some pretty cool, amazing things. And that is Mr. Andrew Petcash. Andrew, I'll brag on you here in a little bit, but welcome. Pumped to have you here.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's good to be on the other side of the video recording for once. Usually I'm cranking out a couple podcasts a week, so it's nice sometimes to be like, hey, I actually get to talk and I don't have to just ask questions. So I appreciate you having me on.
This will be perfect. Hopefully get you some good questions, make you think a little bit, but a little bit about kind of your background that I want everybody kind of know, and then we'll dive into each of these sections. So just really quickly, first thing that sticks out to me, right, is obviously your basketball background, right? I know you played a variety of different sports growing up, but basketball was kind of it. You had the opportunity to go play at Boston University. You won a Patriot League championship, which we'll talk about a little bit. And what intrigues me even most about your story is just the drive you had in sports, but then also just into the sports world, like during school, because when you were in school, the NIL, name, image, and likeness, for those of you who don't know what NIL is, it just popped up, right? And became new, and all these endorsement deals and compensation started to pop. And you took advantage of that. Like you saw something there and you launched what you call CAI. So the College Athlete Insight that was later acquired. And you've done a variety of different things, but now you run Profluence, which is all things sports, the way I describe it, right? So 3 different kind of arms of that business: an investment arm to actually help fund minority stakes in different teams, leagues, and technology; a media arm that's like resources and connection points for industry players; and then the community arm, right, just to help individuals kind of in that sports world, like people like me, right, and people like the investors and all these different people you come across. So you have just like this really fascinating background, Andrew, that I don't know, it just intrigues me, right, and gets me thinking, and that's why I'm so excited to have you on today. But before we kind of dive into NIL a little bit, things like that, but I always like to start these off with, when you think back to your kind of sports playing days, right? What's one of the best memories that you have from those days?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the coolest memories was, winning the Patriot League championship, like going to college, just because it was my last main goal in sports was to go to March Madness. I'd accomplished everything else, like, Fab Five, which is top 5 players in the state of Pennsylvania, win a WPIAL championship, which was Western PA, get to the state championship, play Division I. And then it was like March Madness was my last one. I never really had big ambitions to go play professionally, which for better or worse, I don't know why. That was like college was my main thing. And I think I've always had a liking to business, which we'll get into. But
yes,
winning the Patriot League was so cool because I had my dad who trained me since I was little, my mom who supported me since I was little, my brother who was playing D1, my younger brother who, was along for the ride, and just to be there as a family and take the pictures and look back at it. I get the memories on my phone this time of year.
Yep.
And to look back and be like, wow, this was like so many hours and years of hard work. And it just was a cool feeling to be like, wow, I literally made every basketball goal I wanted to have happen. And amazing. To then have the people that supported me the most throughout it be there was just a really, really, really cool feeling.
That's incredible. Well, in March Madness, who'd you play?
So 2020, it was the COVID year, so we didn't actually get to play, which is a little wrinkle in the story. But
yes,
we were probably been a 14 or 15 seed.
Yep.
So I don't know who the top teams were that year. I'm sure it was the typical ones. But, nonetheless, you never know what can happen. So, it sucks, but I still have the ring, still have the banner, the pictures, and, still technically fulfilled the goal just a little little crinkle in the paper on it.
Yes, you just opted out. That's all. Be like,
Yeah,
we're good.
yeah. Technically, we were the last team to play and win a game in 2020. So I would never say we're national champions, but usually the last team to win a game in a year is the top team. So there's something in that at least.
I'm not arguing it. I won't debate on that. We'll go with that. I love it.
Yep.
Well, so when you look back at, you had these goals for collegiate basketball, all those sorts of things. Have you always naturally been like a very goal-driven person, or like where did you kind of inherit that or learn that, or is that just kind of that's who you are at the core?
Yeah, I mean, I think so much of who we all are is our environment and the people around us. And so luckily, both my parents, entrepreneurs, college athletes themselves. And so just everything every day is, what are you doing today to be a little bit better than you were yesterday? And then, okay, that's cool, but like, what's your goal? Like, what are you trying to do? Right. And so my dad, I mean, I think when I'm a parent, I'll do this. Like looking back, it sometimes was always like, but he would throw in little jobs of like, hey, did you get better today? Did you do what you're supposed to do? Right. You would feel sort of guilty if you didn't. And so I was top 5 in the Patriot League in 3-point shooting a few of the years, just because I would go and shoot 500 form shots every day. And so I learned a lot from that, of the consistency, but also then of, okay, what's your goal? And so my dad would always be like, hey, he would put a little carrot at the end of the stick too, and be like, hey, if you average 20 points a game this year, we'll go on vacation, whatever it is. I don't even remember what they were, but there was always like a little reward too. And so and it'd be worthwhile enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna go make this happen. But then it never was as much about, at least for me, it was never like, oh, I want to do this just to get that. It was more like, no, that's the standard that he believes I'm that good. And if I don't live up to that. And so it was cool. My dad was an assistant coach too. And so,
yes,
that reward with the daily has compounded, obviously, on the sports side into good things. And now hopefully, trying to carry that over to business as well.
Yes. Well, and I love this discussion around like that consistency, right? Because we all know, I kind of always say that, the success principles, they're relatively simple in the grand scheme of things, right? Not easy, but relatively simple, right? So we know in sports that I need to have goals, and we know in sports that I need to be consistent, right? With that kind of work outside of practice. But so many people struggle with like setting a goal and being consistent. So you talked a little about your influence of your dad kind of in that process, but how did you work through, like, I'm going to the gym to take my 500 form shots today. There's got to be times where you're like, I am not in the mood for this, or my buddies are going out, or like, I want to do something. I want to sit on the couch, right? I want to do something different. How did you like get yourself to like get off the couch, jump in the car, get to the gym? Like, what was it for you? Because I think you're very highly driven today, which we'll get into business, but it's I think you have that same consistency. So how did you do it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I'm sure there's a lot of philosophical lanes we could go down, but to me, it was I always feel like there's this higher version of you. And I heard this on a different podcast one time, but it was like, hell is, if you die and you meet God face to face, and he's like, this is the person you could have been, and then this was who you were because you didn't do, like, I feel like we all know what we need to do, right? And so for basketball, I knew I needed to shoot every day, or I needed to work out, or I needed to train, or I knew when, like, I feel like the universe like gives you some clues, and if you listen to your gut more than your head, it will be like, for me, I knew I wasn't super athletic. Like, a lot of it for me was very much just will and skill, where I was not I would finish very bottom in college. I learned this quick. This is when I knew, obviously, I wasn't going to go into the NBA either, but it was like, I was, from a physical metric standpoint, on the lower end, right? I'm 6'3". I can barely dunk, but I can shoot the ball really well. I'm super skilled. I have good IQ. I'm smart. And I would always finish in first in any running test, just because mentally I knew, like, no, like the coach isn't going to break me down. These other guys are going to quit. They're going to fall. And I don't care they're that much more talented, because this college basketball lane isn't going to matter. When it's like, I'm going to show them like, yo, I'm tougher. Like, I'm going to outlast you. And so I don't know, maybe that was bred when I was younger from my parents, but then it just becomes almost an obsession, where for me now, like one of those is I have to post on LinkedIn 5 days a week. And like, if I miss it, like I feel like this tear in my chest. And so to me, it's never about staying on the couch or, not wanting to do something. I mean, even for me, I still work out every day, and then I'll know if I really need a rest day, and I'll be like, okay, I earned it or I felt it. But
Yes.
like, to me, I feel a tear, and I don't know. That's just me. So I don't know what other people feel. But like, if I don't do what I feel like I know I need to do, like the feeling of not doing it is so much greater than just getting it done and then feeling good after.
I think it's really interesting on two fronts, right? I think that philosophical piece, right, of like meeting God or higher power, whatever you believe in, for people watching, like, but it's kind of that question of like, did I maximize my, gifts and talents to the fullest, right? And that's a really cool visual you painted, right, of like that, well, here's who you could have become if you would have just done these things, and probably still a great person and achieve things, but you could have done so much more, right? So just kind of maximizing those gifts and talents. And then I love that aspect of, because I think this is underrated, right? And it's funny you bring this up, because yesterday I was talking to this gentleman, and he's struggling in sales, and it's not a skill set issue. It is a motivation issue, right? It's an overcoming fear issue. And we all have it. We all experience it, I think, in different ways. And I walked him through like, okay, how do we wrap our mind around this? But then how do we just do the small things, the things you don't really want to do? And his case was like making cold calls, but I might just do 2. And he wrote me afterwards, and he goes, I have this feeling of like exuberance, excitement, like I accomplished, right? I faced some fear and I did it anyway. And he was so excited about it. And I know from that just by that one little shift, that it's not to say he's going to do, make millions in sales. I hope he does. But it's just doing those little things consistently, it just has an amazing impact, right? What you feel afterwards, like, yeah, I posted on LinkedIn, I did this, I did that, I did my shots, I took my swings, I did my bump sets, bikes, whatever your sport is. That feeling you get, I think, is incredible.
Yeah, that's why like triathlons worked well for me too, because it was very much like my swimming was extremely poor. And so I knew like, I'm not going to go drown in that lake for my first race, and I'm not going to pull up and quit and not be able to make it. And so it's like, you got to be able to like think ahead and then pull it back. And then to see that progress to me is super addicting. Like most people think they get motivation from, videos or thoughts, but it's like, no, you actually get motivation from doing it as you see yourself getting better and better. And for me, that's what drives me of, one of the pieces, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit deeper, but a lot of people to me were like, because I like the private equity side of things. I like building things. I like coming in, finding ideas, being ahead into the future. And everyone told me, you got to go to you got to go get an MBA. You got to come through investment banking. You got to work for a private. You cannot go start this on your own. And I go, that's all like preconceived notions and ideas. And I'm like, no, that's wrong. Like, how am I going to do this in my own way? And it's like, so anyway, it was really cool as we got the first one up, and it's small, but it's a start and it's progress, and I'm learning a ton, and we've made mistakes. But then to me, it comes into focus, because as we have a lot of interest now for a second one. And it's like, I could go do that today, but I also know like what goes into making this happen. And I'm just not ready for it. Like, I'm not ready to go jump. I need a few more months to rest and recharge, because when I go and I say, let's roll, it's all in, and that's got to be your main thing until I get it done, and everything else becomes, to the side. And right now I got too many other things going on where it's like, so you just got to listen and know, but then like go all in. And then what's the goal? Okay, the goal is, I don't know, it's going to make this up, a $10 million second fund.
Yep.
I don't know where it's going to be, but to do it every day, I need to outreach to these people. I need to ask these people for 3 intros, and I got to do that every day and then track it. And if I do that, most likely I'm going to have this happen. So you can account that to really any sport, any practice, cold calls, like you were saying. So I think that's what's great about sports in general, is it teaches you all the fundamentals of how to be good at anything.
Yes. And, you know, one of the things is, you know, you made a decision, like, this is what I want. And then to your point, like, do you think there's a point where, like, as an athlete or entrepreneur or whatever, right, you have to make that decision of, like, there is no negotiation, like, I have to go all in? Can you be successful, I guess is another way to say it, can you be successful if you're kind of like half in, half out in your mind?
No, I think you got to be all in, and you got to be, and it can't be like, I think too many people have external motivations of like, hey, I want to get a full scholarship, or I want to make X amount of money. Like, they have like secondary motivations. It's like, no, you should really just want to be the best, and all those secondary things come. That's how I view it. And you really just got to go on, and then you really got to not care. Like, and what I mean by that is not care in the sense of like, you care deeply about getting better and doing well, but you got to not care what other people think, how they view it, whatever it is. I mean, my whole thing is like, who cares? I am putting myself in the best position to be a Division I basketball player. You think my dad cared because some other parents like, why are you going to this camp, or why are you playing for this team, or, you know, Andrew, why on Saturday morning are you driving to Columbus to play in a league when everyone else is just waking up at 11 because they went to the high school football game and, you know, did this last night, right? It's like, no, because I want this, right? And then I think you can apply that to anything else, where people are like, oh, why are you going and taking this huge risk to start your own thing and not, you know, at the beginning knowing how you're going to pay your bills? And then, oh, why are you going to go try and start a fund when you didn't even go to B school and you didn't go to the Ivy League and you don't have this background? Okay, like, how does all real innovation, how does all real success happen? So
yeah,
that's
that.
To me, what drives me is like knowing like what you can do, and then just like when you're getting those little things, like you're getting those little, you know, backhand compliments or like snarky things, or just straight hate, it's like, all right, you're actually doing something right now.
Isn't it interesting? Because I guess the key point of like, everybody's got that preconceived notions. I do, right? You do, I'm sure. And that we all have our, what we grew up understanding, knowing, believing to be true. And the beauty is, as athletes, is just in life, like, how do you carve your path? And part of that's being quiet. I always say, like, go ahead.
One thing I always talk about that I wish, I think they've always happened naturally to me to get a little extra drive, but I'm always like, I wish you could like somehow plant like someone to say something to like really drive you, or you could do it. Like, sometimes I'm like, if I was really going to try to motivate one of my friends, I would be like, dude, you're never going to do that. It's never going to work. It's like that would actually drive them so much to be successful, and then be like, you know, screw you. Look, I did it. Like, but you can't, like, those just happen. Like, you can't artificially create those. And then as me, I would never want to like say, like, I would never want to actually do that to my friend. Yeah. But then I'm like, that could actually be way more helpful than, hey man, stay on the path. You're doing your thing. Like, to me, you need those people to be like, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. And it's usually because they tried it or they couldn't do it, or everyone else has their own motives. Like, I've seen that in business a ton, where I rarely try to listen to a lot of people's advice or opinions, because if I'm asking them because I think they have something, they're like, oh, that could be a competitor, or, oh, you could be stepping on the toes of one of our portfolio companies. Like, there's usually an ulterior motive. Yes. Where I'm like, what is that? Why? Because I've done the same thing to people. We're like, hey, I really want to build. I won't give the example because I don't know who knows listens or how it could happen.
Hypothetically.
But they really wanted to build this one thing, and I was like, don't do it. It's way too hard. Blah blah blah. Because I'm like, we're building it in the back end, right? Yes. And so it was like, that's how you got to view things. Like, you got to take a lot of things with a grain of salt and just trust your own gut, mind, and feel it. And one thing I do, this might be helpful to people, and I've done this since I was little, and no one taught me this. I just started doing it. Was, and again, this goes, I mean, everyone has different faith, but if I really need an answer, or I really need something like to figure out, or a feeling, you know, I did this for picking a college, I do it for how to make a business decision, a lot of personal decisions. Before I go to bed, I basically like say a prayer and I lay it out, and I go, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to know the answer. And like right when you wake up, for some reason, at least for me, like it's always worked, where it's like, I guess because your mind's more calm or whatever, it's always like, oh, I know right away. Boom, just go do it, take it. So anyway, that's been something cool. No one taught me that. I just started doing it randomly at some point in my life, and it's been super helpful because I'll use it for different things now. And it's like your mind gets synced into the universe, or I don't know,
Yep.
but it's always worked for me, and the decisions have seemed to be the right ones, right? I guess we'll never know because you can only get to see one side of a decision, but it seems to always have been like, oh, I feel like I made the right decision.
Yeah, I love that aspect of it, right? To kind of give it to God, right? And as you sleep and as you kind of calm your mind a little bit, like the brain's putting pieces together, and you do have that influence. I believe in that, and I love that kind of before you go to bed and be like, when I wake up, I'm going to know the answer. And then the beauty is then you take action upon the answer.
Yeah, because you go like, I don't like, there's something higher that knows a better answer than me. Like, I think for the most part, like us humans are not that special. We're very animalistic. And so when you put it in a higher thing, you can start to do pretty incredible things because you're just like, I mean, the fact we're sitting here talking through all this technology, we have no clue how it works, from audio to video to computers to all the chips and things in between. And then there's a language like that we understand what we're talking about. Like, it's all like there's something higher intelligence. Like, we're just a vessel through it as a view. So anyway, like a lot of all what we talk about here does stem back to me of like this faith in this higher intelligence and of like, hey, I feel like I have this free will. I can do what I want, but why was it basketball and not all the other sports I played? Or why am I building this business and not the infinite other options, right? And so I sort of go like, there's something sort of nudging me too, and so I should listen to that.
I love that. And here's the key: that if everybody watching, listening right now, the thoughts there, the ideas there, the great ones understand that I need to take a step forward with that. Even if you don't know, maybe you got to shuffle back or shuffle to the left or right after you take the first step. But it's just like taking the action. Like one of my mentors says that, action eliminates fear. And I think action eliminates self-doubt.
Yep.
Action eliminates, procrastination, all sorts of different things, overwhelm even. But it's just take action upon it, right? Because you never know. Like, great stories come from that.
Yes.
Like what you started us out with, that's where the greatest stories come from, right? Whether you succeed or fail. I have lots of failures where I'm like, that's a great story though.
Yeah. And something else too, on top of that, like all of this is temporary. We came from nothing, then all of a sudden you're conscious and you're having this great conversation, and it's like, okay, but my body will deteriorate, my mind will deteriorate, my business and money or possessions, that all will deteriorate. All my relationships, like people don't like hearing this one, but like all your relationships, birth and death. And so it's like, what's left, right? And so to me, it's also like, have a little fun with it. Like, don't take it so serious. And I say that because like, I think there is some projecting of like, I need to be better at that. And I know that. That's why like I'll say something like that on a podcast.
Yep.
But like I'm getting better and better at it, of like, okay, this guy ripped off and he's stealing our business idea and he's trying to do it. Whatever, like he's just imitating, like ours is natural and flowed. And it's not like we haven't taken inspiration from other things too, right? So
correct.
Yeah, and same in sports, right? I think it's very.
You got to enjoy the ride. At some point, you have to enjoy the ride.
It's hard. It's really, really hard in anything, right? Like, because you can look back now, you can watch Florida. You're watching Florida Houston national championship, or if you're on the women's side, South Carolina UConn, and you go, how you can remember. I never played in a national championship game, but I can have a sense of what that feeling is like to be a coach or be a player or closely affiliated with the team, and like that feeling. But it probably happens so fast that all of a sudden it'll be 5 years later, like me playing, where I can go, man, I wish I would have just took a deep breath and just been like, man, how cool is this? I'm playing in front of 15,000 people at a mid-major, really good academic institution, and we just beat South Carolina, right? Like, but It just happens. And then like you look back and it's cool, but it's like, how do you do that more in an everyday where I try to do it? Like today I'm like, man, I I got a really good, I feel like you should go with how you're feeling too. Like, so some days I'm not feeling great. And so my workouts, I'm like, I'm not feeling great. Like, I'm not going to push it too hard. But like today I was feeling really good. And so it's like, well, if you're feeling good, don't just do the bare minimum. Like, go a little, like, leverage that, right? And so I was feeling a little bit better today. So I got one of my better leg workouts in a while. And it's just like, man, how cool is this? So I think you need, if you can learn that earlier through sports, it helps you through everything. Because otherwise, you know, I think you miss everything. Like you're just in your mind. Everyone's in their mind too much. And you see that last night. Like, look at the guy from Houston, right? Like, I mean, I feel for him more than anyone else. Like, I'm like, man,
oh my gosh,
he dribbled off his knee and then he jumped and traveled. And I mean, he didn't lose the game, but he folded in the critical moments. So how do you bounce back? Like, think in 5 years, that's all he's going to remember. And that's how a lot of people are going to remember him.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And so it's like, you know, those things happen too. So it's sports, man. It can expose you in some cool and bad ways.
Well, I think this is a really important point though, because you reminded me of, I remember when I got married, probably the best advice I got was, you know, they said at some point during the night, and usually it's like when everybody's on the dance floor, just you and your wife, and just like stop dancing for a minute and just kind of hold each other, but like turn and look and catch people's facial expressions and just watch them and see the joy and just be in the room looking at people, because you'll never forget that. And it's just to your point of like, it was the best advice I received, because we intentionally did that. And you start noticing and remembering like, oh, this is why we're doing this. And like, this is a lot of fun, instead of like the rush of getting married, or you go playing a game and it's like, my gosh, like look around and be like, how blessed am I to be able to do this? Like, look where I'm at. This is incredible, right? And it's not that the moment overtakes you, but it's to appreciate the moment and remember the fun that like led you to this point of like, and that could be, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a championship game. It's like every day of like, my gosh, how I try to think of that too. Same thing, Andrew. Like, how blessed am I to get to wake up and do what I do every day and work with athletes and work with these corporate leaders as well. But it's like, not a lot of people have this opportunity. And so it's pretty darn cool.
And there's so many people that trade spots. Like my dad always said that, like, because when I was going through, there was guys I thought I was better than, and I was performing better. And then they started getting offers first. And it was like, yeah, but look, you're putting yourself in a great position. There's all these people coming to watch you play. Like, you're right there. You're going to make it happen, right? And so it's like, those are crucial moments too, where it's like, I could have fell off and been like, what the heck, and get mad at things you can't control. And then you get nothing. Or it's like, okay, I'm on the right path. Buckle down, dig in. How can I be better? Why are they, observe, why are they getting this done, but I'm not? And I don't think enough people take like a third party lens on things. Like, it's all very, why him? Like, it's like, okay, well, in that game, he was more aggressive, and that school likes to play aggressive, and that's why they would offer him, or whatever it is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen that in sports. Like I won't call them out, but like there's family and super, super talented, could be a great basketball player, has the height, has the shooting ability and the skills, and definitely has the athleticism, but just no real confidence or aggressiveness. And I think that is everything in sports. I don't care if it's tennis or golf or basketball or football, obviously a little bit more in team sports, but you gotta have, even in college, like my teammate Javante, he's on the Pistons now, he's in the NBA, and we're really good friends still and whatever. But every day in practice, I was like, I'm better than this dude. Like, maybe deep down, I knew like this kid's special. He's really talented. He's 3 inches taller, much more athletic, can score. But like, I always still had like, I'm better in different ways, and like, I'm just as valuable. And so I think you gotta have that to be successful in sports. And then as a coach, I was thinking about going into coaching. So I did do 1 year I built a media publication NIL, sold that off. And as I was sort of in this intermediary, I went and coached in high school as an assistant for a year, just to see like if I wanted to really fully jump into like a college or whatever. And I liked it. I didn't love it for different reasons, just because I like business more.
Yes.
And in high school, you have to deal with the parents more. So I think that was a big influence looking back on me.
Oh yeah.
But like, I'll definitely want to get into coaching again, but it's so much of that too, of like the coaches that like you block out external noise, and you just go all in, and and you're drawn to players that are aggressive, that they might make mistakes, but like they'll go after it.
Yes.
And so I think that's just everything in life, of like people that go after what they want, they usually get it. Maybe not right away, but eventually, because they find the right, like that was me. Like after a fun, I was like, I'm going to get this. And I got hundreds of no's from people that could like sort of anchor it and help me. But then I got the right person at the right time, at the right place. That was a BU grad that was looking to put money into sports, that has hundreds of millions, billions of dollars in his own private equity fund. And it was like, boom. Right. And so
the angelic music, like, oh,
yeah. But like, again, like it happens fast, and you're like, yes. And then all of a sudden you look back and you go, holy cow, like, how did that happen? That was cool. But it's like, you just put yourself in position where aggressive, went after it. And
I think to your point, confidence is everything. Because I don't know if you agree with this or not, but if you lack confidence, I don't think you make those outreaches.
No, and I don't know, like, this is something I struggle with, like, just from a psychology lens. Like, I very naturally have it, and I feel like I've always had it. And so you've never, like, yeah, we all have doubts. Yeah, we all go through little periods. But, like, on a day-to-day basis, like, I always, like, maybe it's a little narcissism sometimes, where I'm just like, I know if I put my time, attention, like, I know I can be really, like, I've never played an instrument in my life. But I can literally confidently sit here and go, I could be one of the best piano players in the world if I wanted to. Like, yes. That's how I think. And I think that about everything. Like, I'm obviously not. I couldn't even play one key. But I'm like, if I put time and attention and did every day, like, I know I could be outstanding. And I've always naturally had that. And so I don't know, like, do some people just not have it? Is there an environment? Is it genetics? Like, I think you can build it up a little bit, but I think some people just naturally have it more than others. And so I don't know, I'm blessed to have it and think that way. But again, I do think a lot of it is environment and how you're shaped. And my parents are very naturally, my dad is to a fault, like probably like the most anyway, that's like a common statement people make to him. And so I think that's what I grew up seeing and knowing. And so you're just sort of, that's what you do.
But it's interesting too, because like everything you've said, right? I'm not surprised you have that confidence in you, because it's things of like, if I'm willing to take the action, whether it goes the right way or the wrong way, then I look at that and I assess it and I'm like, okay, what worked, what didn't? And then it's like either keep the behavior going or change the behavior. And then I'm back to taking action again. And it's like over and over and over again. It's just like, that's the mentality. I think sometimes we discount that of like, well, if I just keep moving, and it's like, no, we have to see it for what it is. Like a success, a failure. It's like, well, it is what it is. There's a behavior that happened. And if I can repeat that again or shift it and just keep like moving, I'm building confidence along the way.
Yeah.
And I think what I find working with athletes and like even business people is like, it's just often that action and then that self-talk and that decisiveness that goes on, that little rhetoric, the checklist of questions you're asking. If you get that checklist down, then it's kind of like, well, I've gathered the data. Like, okay, now I can just go do something about it. So it's again, I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's learning to do those things, right? Of just approaching it a little bit different, right? And then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, like I walk in a room, people are like, oh, you look really confident. Like what? Like,
yeah, because sometimes those people, action. Like you also do learn that a lot of those people aren't. Yes. Like I think that's something else I learned, where people, they give and I think it was cool. Like I was exposed to some of this stuff, but like someone gives a big speech, and it's, you think like, wow, they look so confident. They were but meanwhile, like they'll tell you, man, my stomach felt like it was going to explode. I had such bad butterflies. I was so nervous. So some of it is an act to some degree as well. And so I try to do like, okay, how would someone in this act? And it's like, you got to try to block the mental noise out. But I think it's sort of tying it full circle. It's why you need goals too, because I still believe slightly in my mind, like, even though realistically, if you just look at a lot of different factors, like it probably wouldn't have happened. But I still believe if it was if I got on the right team and the right program with the right thing, I could have made the NBA and I could have, but it was also not my goal. So if it was my goal, maybe some of those things fell more in place. And so it's like, it's really why you need a goal, and like make it bigger, because my goal was to play D1. So like I got that. But if my goal was to play in the NBA, D1 would have just been a step.
Yes.
Right. And
Yes.
so I think about that now, and it's like sort of the same thing where I didn't go through this traditional route to even get into some of the venture side of things.
Yes.
But I literally go, I'm better than these people. I know I can do better deals. I can get in deals earlier. I can help companies. Like I already have that mindset. And like, you know, it might rub some people the wrong way, but it's fine. Like, I think you got to have that. Like, not everyone. It's interesting what sticks with you. I also think the biggest thing people can do, you got to read books. Like, I got exposed to those in high school, like through my parents too. And, you know, they're the traditional like self-help books. You start to realize they all like are the same, and they stem from like similar texts. Like a lot of them stem from the Bible, or they stem from, you know, like Think and Grow Rich. Like that's like a common book. And then that like,
hear a lot of stoicism.
Yeah. Like 20 books stem from, like, you start to see a lot of the same principles though. And it's like those things, like, I don't remember, I couldn't tell you one chapter of a lot of those books, but you can start to remember little principles or little things. And so one of them to me that I always remember, and again, I have no clue where this came from, but I think about this from time to time. It's like people have three things on you. They either like you, they don't like you, or they're indifferent. And it's like, it's going to be 33, 33, 33, no matter what. So why would, like, you, no matter how you act. So just act yourself and be authentic, because it's going to be the same. If you act fake, you're still going to end up in the same three buckets anyway. And then you're going to have the wrong, it's going to mess everything up. So to me, it's like, I'm going to be who I am. And so it's attracted, like, you can start to see like who has been around me.
Yes.
Of that 33. And so like I start to see similarities. I'm like, okay, this is the type of person that we probably mesh well. And so then it actually gives you an advantage of now, hey, I'm trying to do this in business with Profluence. Okay, well, I know how this person acts. They're probably not going to like me. Maybe, I mean, you never know, but it's like you start to see like the indifference, the not like you, the like you. And it's like the people that don't like you, it's usually just, it can be random, right? We all just dislike people for no reason at all. I'm guilty of it. I try not to. And, you know, I go to church and I hear the guy and I'm always like, why? Like, do I even think that about someone random I've never talked to? But I think sometimes it just happens. And then, you know, how do you maximize the people that do, and, you know, build your inner circle or whatever they're calling it these days?
Yeah, absolutely. It's way more fun to hang out with people that you just get along with.
Yeah.
Right. Similar
100%.
mindset, similar, doesn't have to be the same business or sport or anything, but it's just they have that mindset just like you. And that's fun. That's fun.
Exactly.
Well, so let's talk Profluence a little bit. How do you describe it? What do you do? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been refined and transitioned over time, but essentially, like, the way we describe it now is we build a membership platform for the builders in sports. So the founders, investors, executives, bringing everyone together, providing all the resources, everything you need. So that's like the community side. And then because of that, we sat in the middle of everything. We knew what the capital is looking for. We see all the founders and what they're building. So it was a natural extension to build a venture arm off the back of it. But usually, like, to sum it up, like, if it's like one or two sentences, you know, hey, Profluence is a community membership platform for founders, investors, executives in sports. Boom. And there's Profluence Capital, which is the venture arm that invests in opportunistic deals in sports. So you can, you know, frame those up, frame those down, depending on who you're describing to or how long you need to do it. But, you know, to me, we just built a really good ingestion engine and found this. Again, like, you sort of, as you build and talk to people and move around things, you find gaps and opportunities. And the one was sports in itself is a community, right? You see, like, I'm down here in Florida, and last night there's a bar right by me. I mean, there's hundreds, probably thousands of Florida fans, right?
Yes.
And it's like, man, they're just tied to this community, right? And, but for the people actually building in sports, there's no community, right? So it's like sports is communities. It's propped up on it, but there was nothing for like the founders, investors, executives, like actually the people that work in it day to day and are building the future of it, which impacts all of us and our kids and blah, blah,
Yes.
blah. So that was really the thesis of
Amazing.
Profluence, and Profluence itself means to tell a story in an abundant way forward. Like that's a dictionary definition. And so I view that as cool. Like, hey, we're telling this story in abundance. And actually, a website developer came up with that name, which was quite cool. Of like, that's why I also ask, another principle. Like I ask a lot of people. Again, I've sort of said earlier, like, who cares what people's advice and opinions? You got to have your own. But also at the same time, go ask a ton of people, because you never know. Someone says something, and so yeah, I was our website guy. I was like, yo, I need a new name. Like we need, and the least likely person you would think of was just like pro sports, you have an influence. What about Profluence? And I'm like, that's interesting. I look it up. It has a definition too. So
good.
Anyway, that's what we're doing. We've done 15 deals on the venture side. About half of them are we call sports IP or layer one solutions. So teams, leagues, events. The other half are traditional technology companies that we say like are using sports as a wedge. So building in sports maybe to start, but then can go to other industries, which drastically increases their chance of size and market ability. And then the community, we have 750 members to date as of April 8th, 2025. And yeah, just taking it day by day, seeing definitely a second fund on the horizon soon, as I mentioned. And then my goal is 2,000 Profluence community members, because I think that's, if you can get 2,000, I think you basically create a 1 degree of separation across the entire industry, just based off some of our math and laws of, people create these laws of network effects and whatever. So that's the number.
That's so good. Where are you seeing the biggest, I'm just really curious, where are you seeing the biggest movement from a sports perspective? Is it the sports leagues? Is it the tech side of things? Like, I know you got the two halves you said, but are you seeing movement? Maybe it probably ebbs and flows, I imagine, but what are you seeing as of right now, 2025?
I mean, that's why we're trying to mix it. So you're seeing this huge influx of new sports, or what I call the miniaturization of sports. So taking an existing game, basketball, and then building a 3-on-3 league, right? That's a miniaturization. So we're seeing a ton of that across everything, make games shorter, faster, lower attention spans from Gen Z and Gen Alpha, right? Well, with that influx, you need a lot more technology. You need a lot more things that can service at the broad level.
Yes.
And then obviously there's a lot of other cool things taking place of globalization, right? Cricket's going now, and it was just an India thing, and now it's everywhere. And then you have NIL, which is impacting college directly, but it's really pushing everything downstream. So you're seeing a ton of interest in youth sports and amateur sports. And then sports has become, because of the community factor, you can find a lot of your early customers, whether on the business side or on the consumer side. And so it's attracting a lot more talented founders to come in and build companies in the space that traditionally, like, sports has been viewed as like a jock space, like low tech sophistication. I think a lot of that's BS just because there wasn't good education or learning, but like you are seeing people that have built huge companies. Like today I was just on the guy that built Jumia, who's a co-founder of a $1 billion plus tech company. It's like the Amazon of Africa, right? Huge. And he joined our Profluence community as a member, and he's deploying all this capital to build soccer academies across Africa and, connect them to teams in the US, right? And it's like, people like that were never, they would maybe buy a piece of a team or a full team, but that was it. They were just trophy assets. Now it's like, no. Like these are real business opportunities. And you're seeing a huge influx. And our thing with Profluence is, let's just sit in the center. Sometimes we say we're the toll booth for sports. Like you're going to have to come through us at some point in some way.
Well, and I love having this conversation, right? Because as we talk before we even started, right, when athletes and coaches and all these athletes at different levels are listening to this, right? And I think one of the big things that athletes try to do when they get done with sports at whatever level, right, high school, college, pro level, is like, how do I stay in sports, right? Mm-hmm. And the only answer I hear, like 99% of the time, the answer I get is like, well, I'll go into coaching. And coaching is an option, and it's an amazing option. It's an impactful option, but it's just like talking with like you and like understanding like the world that we live in now, especially it's moving at such lightning speed. It's like the opportunities within sports, right? Coaching or otherwise, are huge.
Yeah. Well, there's so much money in it now, which is incredible and only increasing. And I think this is my macro. Again, I don't know where things are going to move and how I'll change, but I really like what I do day to day. I like building in sports. I like what we're doing in building. I think it's a great opportunity. I think there's a huge 20-year run ahead of us in sports, at least from a financial perspective. We'll see then after that. I don't know. It's an interesting time. But to me, one of the coolest things, and I'm one of the first case studies, a little indirectly, but because I started building, because of NIL in college sports, I saw this opportunity, built this media publication, and I was able to come out of college because of the company that acquired it to use it for their top of funnel to get more users. I came out of college with a little nest egg to then go take a risk a year later after working at the company, investing, to start Profluence. Well, NIL in college sports, you look at the guys that play, or girls, Florida, Houston, right? They're making, I don't know exactly for them. I do know for some schools, but let's just say they're all making on average $250,000 over a couple years. And if they're smart, even to some level, well, now they come out of college and they actually have a nice nest egg of, let's just call it $500,000. And it's like, you have real leverage to go start your own thing, or, take a risk, or, hang out and travel Europe and get better perspective. I don't know. But
Yes.
You didn't have that before, where you got to rush right in. It's like, I got to go into coaching. I got to go into sales. So now you're going to see, I think, such a cool influx in the next great entrepreneurs actually come out of college sports in general, because they learned a lot of fundamentals of taxes and business and money, which just spurred their interest to go,
Yes.
oh, wow, I had 100,000, I saved it last year and I invested, and now it's worth this. That's what started to shape my mind in college, because we used to get stipends. So it was like, hey, wow, I think we got, I don't remember the exact numbers, but $5,000 for nothing compared to what they're getting today, but it was like $5,000 a semester. So it's called like 10 grand a year. Well, it's like, I'm only going to spend 2 or 3 grand on food. So I have 7 grand. Some guys go buy PlayStations and waste all their money. I saw oh, wow, I can invest this in a year or two, and it create a little more ability. And so I think you'll start to see guys with that mindset more, and then they have a nest egg. And I mean, I think we're going to see some really, really cool things that come from college athletes, increasing because of that.
That's such a great point. Well, it all comes back to being curious, asking questions, doing something different than other people, right? And even if you don't know what it is, go ask, just talk to people. What are you doing? Join Profluence, right? You can go on there right now, and I don't know what your criteria is, but it's not breaking the bank as far as joining it, right? And being part of it. Yeah,
we've kept it super accessible. It's $50 a month, which, we always joke, some people will get, it's like you'll pay $1,000 to go to some event just to take a picture. But to like today, the guy that built $1 billion company comes in and he told 2 people, oh, I got the perfect connections to help you. All it takes, everyone builds off connections. We say you got to build off relationships. And all it takes are 1 or 2 to change the trajectory of not just your business, but your life. And I've seen it happen myself, right? Yes. And so that's part of how we're building. And then also it's at my apartment building, it's I have luxury trash that costs $75 a month that I don't even want, and I can't get rid of it. And so I'm paying more a month, not that I want to, for this service for some guy. I take my trash to the thing. Yes. But it's so ours is only $50 a month. I know people spend way more than that on coffee. So we did try to make it super affordable and be if you don't, you really don't want this, you don't want to win bad enough, which is funny because of how we built. We've really actually started to see the mindsets of how people think, because some people come in and they expect this cure, Ozempic, doing nothing. And we're like, nah, it's not going to work for you. And then we've seen the real people come in and be like, oh my God, this is the best value. I just got my first client. Oh, we've had people raise millions of dollars through it multiple times. So it's fun. It's cool. You get to learn a lot about people too, of they come in and really use it and maximize. And then you see other people think oh, it's nah, it's not how anything works, right? It's what you get, what you put in, you get out.
Oh, that's so true. Amen to that. If you're looking for magic bullet or magic pill or something like that. It does not exist, right? It's you got to. You may have a great framework that you get to work off of, something like that.
Yep.
But you got to work. Like you got to put in the time. Like there is no secret there. You got to do the work. That's so cool.
We accelerate people. We always say like we condense time, and we really do accelerate people. But again, like it's just funny because even from an investment decision, like part of why we built it is to like get better intel and information. And it's like we've backed some companies because we see these founders come in, and usually you get a pitch, right? So it's a 30-minute, hour pitch, maybe a few emails, maybe a second call. It's like you get this fake version of people. But in our world now, we see how people move, how they operate, and it's like, yeah, I want to back that person. I want to back that. I want to back her, right? And then you go, I don't want to back that person because, so it's cool, like from an information advantage standpoint too.
That's so good. That's so good. Well, I want to be aware of time, and I'm just so thankful to have you on, and we'll stay for a minute here. I have one last question for you, and then we'll wrap up, and then you and I can chat for a minute. But where can people find you if they want to connect?
Yeah, I mean, just on LinkedIn, I say is usually the best. Andrew Petcash on LinkedIn. I should have a little blue thing by my name. Top voice or whatever. I don't know, whatever they're calling it these days.
Yep.
And happy to basically you can find all the links to everything there.
Yep.
To Profluence community, to Profluence Capital, to any other projects or events. I post everything there. So that's the easiest, most central spot for everything.
Perfect. And it's a really cool setup, honestly, and well done, man. Like
thank you.
You posting every day. It's just gives you really good insight into the industry, into sports industry, into what's going on, what's moving. I saw this post I actually had pulled up on my computer. See if I can pull it up quick. About one of the things you posted was about a couple months ago, 3 months ago, but how sports breeds high achievers, and some key stats like 94% of women in C-suite positions have played sports. 52% of the C-suite executives, female, played a sport at a university level. So it's just a really interesting look into, again, the possibilities that exist that we can take advantage of, and just, man, if that's something long-term of interest, like what a great spot to learn and grow. So,
yep. We always say sports is the breeding ground now, and it's, so a lot of people in the industry tell me, stop shouting the praises of it so much. We won't need our time to go build, or we want to raise it. And I go, yeah, me too. But like, I got a different way of getting attention. I didn't have any connections to capital or on Wall Street. Like I had to go build from scratch, and I got to be noisy to do that. And so I'm sorry, I'm giving some of the information away that y'all want to hold tight to, but it's cool.
Good. So good. Well, Andrew, I can't thank you enough, man, for taking your time with me. And I'm looking forward to continuing this relationship too, and get to know you better outside of this for sure.
Appreciate it, man. It was great to be on.
It's awesome. Well, for everybody watching, listening right now, thank you so much for spending time with Andrew and I today. And as I say every time, right, take one little nugget you learned and just put it into action, right? Take one step forward, do one thing with it. Because even as Andrew said, right, it's that action, doing that on a daily basis, being consistent, amazing things are ahead. So when you get to those pearly gates one day, God's going to be like, I'm well pleased, right? I'm pleased. So take advantage of that. Share it with your family and friends, with your teammates and coaching staff. And we'll see you on the next Masters of the Game interview. Bye, everybody.